Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, Cynicalex, and we have the patch notes for the September Shang-Chi update. Let's dive right into it to see what we can expect. So, yesterday's video, I covered the key art, which features Wenwu, Shang-Chi, and Katie, but did not feature Xialing or Xialing. I don't know exactly how to say her name. It's X-I-A Ling, L-I-N-G, which is Shang-Chi's sister. I did mention that she might not be in the update, but she should be because she's a badass. But she's also not in many or any of the trailers, which is what they base the update on, right? That's why there's no spoilers in this update, because it's literally just based on the bus fight scene and a couple of the other trailers that we've gotten released internationally. So I really hope we're gonna get Shang-Chi's sister, Xialing, in maybe like the mid-month, but unfortunately she's not here. But who are we getting? Let's get into that. So we're getting Wenwu as a brand new character. He's a villain, he's a blast type. We're also getting Katie as a speed hero, and we are getting, of course, the uniform for Shang-Chi, which keeps him as a combat hero. Now, Katie is available as a free character with biometric selectors and other things like that. And then Wenwu is available as a premium character like Quasar, Luna, Namor, etc. But he's also available for free temporarily from the September update normal future pass. So if you haven't been playing MFF, but you want to secure your Wenwu, make sure that you're logging into the game and you're completing the future pass. The normal future pass is 100% free, so you can get a free 1-star Wenwu, and then you can use rank up tickets for free through other content, token events, etc. to get him to 6-star / tier 2. Now, one thing I'm not going to cover in too much detail here, but I do want to mention it, is that they're introducing a new type of damage and sort of calculation of damage called Instinct. And there's 4 instincts. The ones you're going to see primarily mentioned between these 3 characters, or 2 characters in a uniform, is Cruelty and Justice. But there's also Order and Destruction. So we'll get into that later. So Wenwu as a blast villain seems like he's going to be a possible counter to Shang-Chi. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, blast does do more damage to combat, as the saying goes. As far as his build goes, like as far as the stats go, and then the skills and the effects, it seems pretty good. He's got penetration, he's got frenzy buffs, he's got a self-heal with a tap and charge type animation, which I love. He's also got a very interesting leadership. All villain allies gain 25% HP. Sorry, that's his passive, which sort of adds to his villain leadership, which is a debuff and a HP recovery for villains. So he gives a very interesting 5% for 5 seconds, plus a 25% increase of max HP. So he actually adds a lot of healing in addition to debuff immunity or debuff removal for villains on the team as a leadership. So that could be interesting for PvP and PvE, technically, but we'll have to wait and see. And then he's got a pretty interesting tier 2. He's got a pretty straightforward tier 2 passive, and the rest of it just sort of follows. Katie, on the other hand, you know, some people make jokes. She doesn't really do too many, or she doesn't have, you know, an insanely heroic role in the movie, but she does her part, and I think it'll be fun to play with her anyways. And she uses a bow, so that'll be pretty cool. We don't have that many bow-based heroes in the game. Her leadership is a crit rate buff for all allies, which is okay, but a 60% all attack for Shang-Chi. So you'll definitely want to build her up for nothing more than to be an insane support. But the support doesn't stop there. All allies with her Robe of Justice passive will get a crit damage and ignore dodge buff. So she becomes a pretty decent support type character, in addition to being the best leadership, or one of the best leaderships in the game for Shang-Chi. She has a really good self passive with ignore dodge, guaranteed crit, guaranteed dodge, and skill damage, bonus damage, not guaranteed ignore dodge. There's no such thing as that. She's also got a charge and hold skill, which is cool. And the rest of her effects are pretty straightforward. No healing, I believe. Yeah, no healing, no iframe ignore, but yeah, should be pretty interesting. And then Shang-Chi, the man of the hour that we're looking forward to. He gets, like I said, the Instinct of Justice, along with Katie there, Instinct of Justice. And his uniform seems pretty spicy. He gets 40% damage reduction. He gets skill damage, bonus damage. They have a very, very cool skill reset. So they're doing something very different with Shang-Chi's uniform, which I love. His 5th skill, Staff of Punishment, has a huge cooldown, 33 seconds, one of the longest cooldowns, or the longest cooldown in the game. But that's not actually the cooldown of the skill, because look at the cooldown on Flying Kick, 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Now, It's technically not 3 seconds because this effect has a 9-second cooldown, but that basically means you can use his 5th skill every 9 seconds. Yeah. Because you just start off the fight with 5, 5, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2. You know, you get what I'm saying, right? And so every 9 seconds, you can refresh his 5th skill because his first skill will be ready. Really, really cool. Sort of like the Luna Snow refreshing, but more straightforward and possibly more potent, because usually the 5th skill is the most powerful. His 5th skill has incapacitation. It's called Staff of Punishment, which sounds cool. Giggity, you know the procedures. And it's got the all attack, all defense, crit rate, frenzy buff. Now, one thing I want to cover really quickly for you eagle-eyed viewers, you are seeing a difference in translation. If you scroll up to the top and you look at, for example, Wenwu, it's going to say all attack. Actually, here it says basic attack. Here it says all defense, right? So basic defense, all defense. You think those things are different. They're not different. I believe that it's just a typo. I believe it is just, I could be wrong. But I believe it is just a translation error, because I don't think there's a difference between basic attack and all attack or all defense. However, if there is a difference between basic attack and all attack, they may be moving to a new system where all attack includes buffs to instinct, which is a type of attack, and basic attack just means everything else that we've used until now besides instinct. It doesn't mean basic attack as an auto attack. That's not what they mean. I don't know why I did this for auto attack. But when they say basic attack, they're not talking about the auto attack mechanic, which is just pressing that X button and doing like 0 damage. That's not what they mean by buffing buffing the basic attack. So I think it's a mistranslation personally, but if not, then it's just going to be to differentiate buffs that apply to instinct versus buffs that don't apply to instinct. But it's not going to be changing any of the existing mechanics that we understand in the game now. It doesn't mean that any of these existing buffs they're getting are going to be bad buffs. So yeah, he's got a lot of buffs on top of the frenzy buffs. He's got 100% ignore dodge for 6 seconds. He's got immunity. He's got super armor. He heals himself for 60%. Hello, this is a counterattack skill that enables attacking enemies who have activated ignore. It's got ignore iframe with a heal. Oh, it's also got invincibility. Oh, it's also got reflect. 80% reflect. Yeah. Shang-Chi. PvP, PvE master. He's got a paralysis. He's honestly, Shang-Chi's looking amazing. I'm really excited. The other thing I'm really excited about is that they're making him very unique, not only with his 5th skill and his 1st skill, but also with his tier 3. You're gonna have to stick around for that one. Then we are getting new uniforms for Sword Master, Wave, and Arrow. Now these are the classic uniforms, but keep in mind these characters have not spent much time in the comics, so I believe these are just going to be redesigns or just sort of like a re-up of their existing uniforms, sort of how Quasar got just basically a nicer, more polished version of her 2017 outfit. So that's what I expect. Keep in mind, Sword Masters is a little bit cheaper than the other ones, so I do believe that means Sword Master is going to be less powerful, or is going to have less rework, sort of like Nightcrawler. However, you can also consider the fact that he's the free character, whereas Arrow is a paywall character. She's a biosub character, and Wave is from the heroic quest. So they're technically much harder to get, which may indicate why their uniforms are more expensive. However, they do have changes. They do have a lot of changes. Like, even though this is a 750 uniform, it seems like most of his skills are getting changes. They're getting buffs. He's getting all of these different buffs added. He's also getting his passive buffed. He's also getting his leadership buffed. His leadership was just 35% all defense to heroes. Now it's 50 with 30% HP. This is a huge power creep on the existing 30% HP leadership of like Captain America and others. It's even better than Red Guardian's 35% HP. I believe that 50% defense is better than 5% HP. So we'll have to wait and see how these characters fare, but I'm pretty excited because they can do a lot for these characters without necessarily going to these crazy, lengths. And I think what they did for Quasar is a really good example of what they can do. Arrow's getting some changes as well. She's getting a really nice uniform effect with damage decrease, 30% damage decrease. He's getting kind of like this weird immunity. I don't really like it. But he also has a counterattack. No, not a counterattack skill. Never mind. But yeah, you've got a bunch of stuff here. She's got a heal now, which is one of her Arrow's biggest issues was her survivability. So that's really nice. Wave is also getting some increases. She's getting a much better leadership now. Her leadership is going to be 25% all attack to all allies. which is just an amazing upgrade. And then Namor's going to get a 60%. So Namor is actually going to stack up to 85% now. So Namor fans, rejoice. She's also going to increase her passive to do more damage. The sort of the tier 2 passive that applies to all allies is going up from 40 or 45% to 50. She's getting guaranteed crit rate. So yeah, I'm you know, these are pretty good buffs. I'm more so focused on the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Ring characters, but these are not bad buffs for Swordmaster, Arrow, and Wave. Then we're getting Shang-Chi's new tier 3 skill. And okay, it looks very cool. It's not exactly something from the movie, but it sort of is without spoiling anything. So I'm very excited about that. But the thing I'm most excited about is that it doesn't do any damage. That's right. Shang-Chi's tier 3 skill has no hits. 0 hits. No damage. So you're probably wondering, why am I excited? That sounds so dumb, Alex. Well, look at the buffs that he gets on Tranquil Focus. 100% HP recovery. 90% chain hit when attacking. 90% chain hit. That's not a typo, hopefully. 80% chance to penetrate. 8 seconds of invincibility. A 150% damage proc. He gets a buff, which I've asked for ages. He gets an iframe ignore buff for 13 seconds. That means all of his skills will have iframe ignore for 13 seconds. And then he gets a 90% attack buff for 13 seconds. Yeah, it's September. It's Shang-Chi season, baby. It's Shang-Chi season. Let's go. This looks insane. This looks so good. 100% heal. Are you joking right now? Could you imagine he's on the brink of death and then he just goes into the stance? I can hear the music now. Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, I don't want to. Oh man, it's gonna be lit. Hopefully, it's gonna be sick. And with the refresh, keep this in mind. With the refresh on his 5th skill, Staff of Punishment, because of the Flying Kick passive effect, Flowing Strikes, you may be able to charge his tier 3 fast enough that you can keep this buff up the whole time. Sheesh! Could you imagine? Could you imagine, bro? 13 seconds, bro. That's all you gotta do is just charge it up in 13 seconds. Could you imagine, bro? If that's possible? Buddy. It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick. I'm very excited. We're getting Transcendence for Swordmaster, Arrow, and Wave. They have pretty standard, pretty copy-paste buffs on their Transcendence skill. The only one I noticed that's a little bit different is that Arrow gets longer durations on her skill. She gets 10 seconds, whereas he's getting 10 seconds, 12 seconds, but then 8 seconds on some of the other buffs. But that's basically it. Nothing too spicy there. I think their Transcendence skill looks really cool. It's basically Swordmaster comes in and slashes, then Wave uses this, like, does this huge like water volcano thing, and then Arrow throws down. It's sort of like Avatar. You know, you've got like earth, water, air. There's just no fire. But yeah, because the Fire Nation attacked. Anywho, we've got this new ability, Instinct. So I'm just going to read through this really quickly, but I don't want to focus too much on this because we have a limited amount of information. But basically, this is going to be a new way to enhance your character's damage, and it's not going to synergize with Pierce. So keep that in mind. It's not going to synergize with Pierce. So it says right here, additional Pierce damage does not apply to Instinct effect. So they make that very, very clear. So I don't think that Instinct is going to be better than Pierce. I think it's just going to be a new, different thing. A new ability has been added to heroes. Upgrade your heroes with the 4 instincts: justice, cruelty, order, and destruction. I like that. I like that it's different, and I like that each character is going to have one of the 4, but not necessarily, like, it's not necessarily going to be all the same, right? That have been given based on the hero's characteristics. So that's important to keep in mind too. Instinct increases as the hero's level increases. The hero's instinct attack and instinct defense increases as their instinct ability increases. So because your instinct increases with your level, that means your instinct attack and your instinct defense are going to increase with your level. The stat of the main instinct given to each hero will be applied by 100%, which is kind of confusing, but you'll see in the screenshot. The other 3 instincts will be applied by 50%. So you can technically tap into the other 3 instincts even if your main instinct is justice, but you'll only have half of the effectiveness. So if you have 100 cruelty, that will only give you 50 cruelty attack and 50 cruelty defense. They're sort of also, by doing this, they're sort of designing, you can kind of consider this like a new version of blast speed combat universal. However, it's not going to be as powerful as Blast Speed Combat Universal, in my opinion, because the percentages don't seem as high as type enhancement. But this is sort of, I think, an easy way of explaining it. So ways to increase a hero's instinct aside from hero growth. Hero growth would be like leveling them to 60, tier 2, tier 3, etc. Will be further announced in future updates. So they're keeping this open to give us, maybe a way to farm instinct, maybe an item that will increase instinct, maybe something that you buy in the shop, but they're not introducing any of that right now. Right now, instinct is just going to be something that applies automatically to a character and increases as you build up that character, as you invest into that character. So instinct attack and instinct defense. So you can see here there's going to be two pages. There's going to be a normal page and an instinct page, and the instinct page is going to list your instinct attack stat, which is obviously much lower than your regular attack stat, right? Regular attack stats for a tier 2 character range anywhere from like 15,000 to like 35,000. So again, we're talking like magnitudes of 10 times to 30 times more than this. And then you have bonus instinct accuracy, crit rate, and crit damage. So these numbers, I don't know how they're derived from this stat, but they are derived from the stat. And then on the other side, on the defense side, you have his instinct defense. So I don't know if this is his defense against instinct attackers, or if this is his defense against all other of the types, like chaos, destruction, and order. And then you have his instinct defense is 752, and then you have his instinct dodge, his instinct critical defense, and his instinct critical damage decrease. This is very interesting because we haven't seen this in Marvel Future Fight as an explicit stat before. This is your ability, critical defense is your ability to refuse or negate a critical attack. So basically, even if your opponent rolls a crit, you still have a chance to like basically reject the crit and lower the damage back down to its base damage with your critical defense. And then on top of that, you have critical damage decrease, which means if you don't succeed, if the enemy does succeed in critting you, you can reduce the amount of crits that you receive with critical damage decrease. So critical damage decrease basically counters critical damage, and crit defense counters the chance to crit with crit rate. So I really like this. I think this is a really cool thing, and we haven't seen this in Marvel Future Fight. We sort of speculate that this exists because of characters like Null, who seem to reject a lot of your crits, and especially characters that use a CTP of Rage seem to have a hard time triggering their Rage unless they have tons of guaranteed crit rate. So you sort of see that implicitly, but not explicitly. So that's pretty interesting there. And then you see the total instinct is 684, which translates to the 100% amount of justice, which is what it says. So the main stat will be applied by 100%. The other three instincts will be applied by 50%. In this case, for Shang-Chi, he has 0 cruelty, order, and destruction. 0 times 50% is 0. That's right, folks. So yeah, not having, sorry, I wasn't scrolled down long enough, far enough. Not having any cruelty, order, or destruction, you basically would need to have 2. Right, 2 would be the minimum amount, because then that would be converted down to 1 when you have it, when you 50% it. So yeah, and then these blue numbers, there's no context, by the way, for this screenshot. I assume that these blue numbers are the other damage that you're taking. So you could, the other damage that you're dealing, excuse me. So it seems like, is he dealing damage or taking? I think he's taking damage. So it seems like he's taking regular damage here, and then he's taking instinct or cruelty or chaos or destruction damage here, which is the light blue numbers. We don't know though. I don't have any context for this screenshot, so I'm not actually sure. Anywho, so that's instinct. That's all the information they give us, nothing else. We'll have to dive in when we see the update. Anyways, just keep it locked on the channel, and I'll cover instinct, and I'll cover everything else for you guys. We have a new legendary battle for Shang-Chi. Very, very cool. If you do not have Shang-Chi built up, you will get a 6-star Shang-Chi automatically for free when you enter the second stage, Master of Martial Arts. So if by now you haven't farmed Shang-Chi at all, just jump into the legendary battle, the easy mode, the normal mode, and you'll get him for free. Don't bother building him up now. Don't bother wasting bioselectors on him. The time has come. The really cool thing about this legendary battle is they listen to the players. They are going to be giving as one of the rewards, a CTP of Judgment. So you have a very cheap and very guaranteed is the key word here, way to get a CTP of Judgment. This is an awesome win for the players. Thank you, Marvel Future Fight, for listening to us. This is excellent. So the rewards here as follows: you have to buy this in order to access the extreme mode, and then you have to complete the challenges. But as you can see here, the normal rewards on the left are pretty good, and the rewards on the right are even better. With the extreme mode, you get 500 crystal refund. So basically all of these other rewards basically just cost you 2,000 crystals plus the challenges. So for example, the challenge would be the own the mythic uniform for Shang-Chi. So you have to buy his uniform and you have to own it mythic. Obviously that incurs a larger crystal cost, but if you were going to get his uniform mythic anyways, you're going to tier 3 him anyways. It's not really a cost to you. Owning tier 2 Wenwu is going to give you an awakened ISO, and so on and so forth. Clearing the stage without getting attacked more than 70 times somehow is 150 crystals. So yeah, you sort of get it. You get a mythic card as well. You get a potential realization ticket. You get a level 6 advanced potential enhanced ticket. So that's pretty nice. You're going to be able to take a character from level 60 to 70 immediately. So this extreme reward not only gives you the judgment, but it gives you access to an item that gives you basically skips the 10 million gold 2,400 crystal cost, which I think is pretty big. And you also have a potential realization ticket, so you can unlock a regular character's potential right away without having to play them in a world boss. So pretty good rewards, I should say. You know, in my opinion, I think these are very good rewards for Legendary Battle. I think they nailed it. And then we actually have a new piece of content, surprisingly enough, called Timeline Survival. I'm going to try to keep this short because I know the video is running really long. Basically, Timeline Survival is a seasonal content that's going to rotate every 14 days, and then agents are basically going to be able to explore numerous timelines with team consisting of specific heroes to fight bosses that are causing abnormalities. Basically, it's going to start with obviously threat level 1, which is the easiest difficulty, and then you go, and once you beat it, you can do another one, and it basically creates this grid. In this case, it's a 5x5 grid, and the grid will have different tiles on it, and the tiles will correspond to different types of events like a landmark, a reward, a portal, which will teleport you, and then you'll have like a hidden effect, which could be a boon, or like it could be a buff or a debuff. You have a shop where you can buy things for either survival tokens or crystals. You have a hero admin office where you can swap or revive the heroes on your team. You have normal battles, you have sort of mini bosses, and then you have bosses. And then the difficulty of the tiles are also denoted by their color, and it's the standard color scheme for Marvel Future Fight, normal being gray, and then mythic being red. There's no mention of the rewards in this game mode, so that's really going to be the other key factor, is what are the rewards, because the gameplay seems fun, and there does seem to be an indication that, so you can only select 12 participating characters. So it does seem like you may need to have a pretty wide roster. As you can see here, it also denotes requirements. You have to use level 70 tier 2 characters, and then you're going to have some sort of buff or debuff for other types of characters, whether they are Blast Universal, Hero, Villain, Speed, etc. So I really think that this could be sort of like an enhanced version. It's sort of like, here's how I'd explain it. An enhanced version of a combination between, or sort of like if they had a baby, Timeline Battle, Alliance Conquest, and Shadowland. So you can see here, when you enter the landmarks, you have these sort of timeline challenger buffs that you can apply one to your team, which has different effects. You got portals, you have debuffs that can happen that decreases the HP of your allies, etc. And then when you actually fight, the gameplay, right, like the in-fight gameplay is like a Shadowland Rumble. You can control one of the characters and you can switch between them. The other two will be auto-played, and then the 3 enemies will be auto-played against you. So there's a whole bunch of different rules. We don't need to read this all in depth because we'll sort of figure it out as we go. But really, what needs to be ascertained, what we need to figure out, is what are the rewards for players, because this game mode does seem like it would take up quite a bit of your time. So what is the reward, and how difficult is it? Keep in mind that this refreshes every 14 days. So for players that are already panicking about the time crunch, you're going to have 2 weeks to complete this. We don't know how many threat levels there are. That's obviously going to be a big indicator of how much time this takes. But you may be able to just do like 1 stage per day, right? That would mean that there are 14 potential threat levels. There might only be 10. So you might not even need to do 1 a day, right? So it might not even be that bad. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I'm really excited for a brand new game mode. You can see that these stages also get huge. We went from a 5x5 on threat level 1 to a 10x10 on threat level 3. They also sort of indicate that threat level 3 might be the highest threat level because we don't see the arrow anymore. Again, we're just basing these off preliminary screenshots. They may have added way more by now. They may be adding more later. But I really like this setup because it sort of gives the game a different feel. It feels more like a strategy game, and you can sort of pick and choose, right? Because you can see I can move around to battles, but I can avoid some of these, or I can go through some of these to avoid some of the battles. It seems pretty interesting to me. I can't wait to try it out. I think it's going to be really, really fun. But yeah, we still have a few pretty important questions like rewards to figure out. And temporal energy is going to be this new type of energy that you use to play in the, what is this thing called again? Timeline. I thought it was Timeline Battle at first. Timeline Survival, excuse me. Yes, this is a single player game mode. It's not a PvP multiplayer game mode. We have the new Legendary and Mythic Future Pass, excuse me. You have all of the basic rewards. You've got the 10 free bios of Wenwu. We've got the new icons. We got the I don't know why this one's broken. This is basically Shang-Chi. So it looks like that. And he's in the streetcar or the bus. We got Wenwu, we've got Dormammu, and we've got Magic. So maybe this is hinting at the mid-month. Maybe this is something else. We don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. And then we have a new uniform collection. We have some crafting sort of quality of life changes, nothing too serious. And then we have some game bug fixes. So I'm very, very happy with this update. I think this update literally has everything I could have wanted besides Xiling. Sorry if I mispronounced her name. This is why I didn't pronounce it in yesterday's video, because I didn't want to embarrass myself. But and I didn't want to, disrespect the character and the actress, because she did a fantastic job. That was that was her first real acting gig. She crushed it. She absolutely crushed it. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. But I am over the moon excited from a gameplay perspective, from a game mode perspective, from a rewards perspective. I think this update has everything. Absolutely everything. We just need Shang-Chi's sister. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys tonight for the live stream. We're gonna do the live stream reaction at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then I'm gonna jump in at 1 or 2 a.m. Eastern for the live stream as soon as it's ready. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all the support over the years, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.